Shikamaru. We're starting this Hokage ranking from the very bottom, and honestly, this one's not that hard to agree on. Shikamaru Nara takes the last spot on the list. When you look at Shikamaru's fighting record, yeah, his win against Hidan from the Akatsuki was one of the smartest and best planned battles in the whole series. Total respect. But when you compare that to what other Hokage have done, the gap is massive. Physically, he's average. He doesn't have the insane speed of Minato or Tobirama. He doesn't have the raw power of Hashirama or Tsunade. He doesn't have the massive chakra reserves of Naruto or Hashirama. And most importantly, he doesn't have any large-scale destructive feats. He can't summon a giant forest or call a massive toad or throw a Rasenshuriken that wipes out mountains. That might sound exaggerated, but that's literally the kind of power a Hokage needs when protecting the village. Shikamaru just doesn't have the firepower to finish a fight decisively, and that's something every other Hokage could do. Shikamaru became Hokage because Naruto disappeared, sealed away in another dimension. The Leaf suddenly lost its strongest leader, and they needed someone who could take over right away. Shikamaru, as Naruto's longtime advisor and trusted right-hand man, was the obvious choice. Naruto's generation had grown older, and the younger ones weren't ready yet. So Shikamaru stepped up, not as a warrior, but as a strategist and a stabilizer.
Now, if you've made it this far, welcome to the amazing world of anime. This is the place for true fans like you, where we celebrate all the magic, action, and emotions anime brings to our lives. You've watched, you've felt the hype, you've been lost in these beautiful fantasy worlds, but, have you hit that subscribe button yet? Right now, almost 90% of you are watching without subscribing. Just imagine, if everyone hit sub, we could build one of the strongest anime communities out there. So, go ahead, click that subscribe button right now, so you won't miss any new episodes, deep dive breakdowns, or awesome anime content coming your way. Thank you so much.
Kakashi. At number 7, we've got Kakashi Hatake, the 6th Hokage. Kakashi is one of the most beloved characters in the whole series. He's a certified genius, known across all 5 nations as Kakashi the Copy Ninja. Let's start with Kakashi at his absolute peak. During the 4th Great Ninja War, when Obito lent him both of his Mangekyou Sharingan, Kakashi basically stepped into god-tier territory. With dual Mangekyou Sharingan, he was able to use the perfect Susanoo, something only the strongest of the strong could pull off. He fought alongside Naruto and Sasuke against Kaguya herself and played a key role in that final victory. That was an insanely epic moment, but the point is, that power wasn't really his. It was temporary, a parting gift from Obito from the afterlife. Once the battle ended, that power vanished too. When we talk about Kakashi's real prime, we're talking about the version of him with a single Sharingan in his left eye. That's the Kakashi we saw for most of his life as a ninja. With that eye, he had access to Kamui, one of the most powerful space-time techniques. Kamui let him warp away attacks, teleport objects to another dimension, and basically erase anything he aimed it at. In the hands of someone as smart as Kakashi, that was a deadly weapon. But Kamui drained a ridiculous amount of chakra, and that's been Kakashi's biggest weakness for most of his career. He's not an Uchiha, so that Sharingan constantly eats away at his chakra, even when it's not being used, and when he actually activates it in battle, the chakra drain skyrockets. We've seen this happen over and over again in the series. Kakashi fights brilliantly, uses Kamui a few times, and then he's completely out of gas. Compared to the other Hokage with insane chakra reserves, that's a serious limitation. Now, some people argue that after losing his Sharingan, Kakashi actually got stronger in terms of stamina, since his chakra isn't being drained all the time anymore. And yeah, that's true. But that created a whole new problem. Without the Sharingan, Kakashi lost Kamui, lost his ability to copy jutsu, and lost a big part of what made him truly dangerous. He's still an incredibly skilled ninja with a massive arsenal of over 1,000 jutsu, but that special edge, that unique advantage, was gone. And when you compare him to Tsunade, the difference in chakra is still night and day. Tsunade's a senju, born with massive chakra reserves. Kakashi, even with his chakra restored, just doesn't come close to that level. Now, in terms of skill and versatility, Kakashi's one of the most well-rounded ninjas to ever live. With the Sharingan, he copied over 1,000 jutsu and could use them creatively in any situation. He mastered ninjutsu, genjutsu, and taijutsu. He even opened one of the 8 gates, proving his physical ability was no joke. We saw him swinging Zabuza's massive sword like it weighed nothing. His battle IQ is right up there with Shikamaru's. But even with all that, it's still not enough to push him higher on the Hokage power ranking. The problem is, everyone above him has something he doesn't. Tsunade. At number 6, we've got Tsunade Senju, the 5th Hokage. Tsunade is one of the legendary sannin, a name that's feared and respected across all nations. Let's start with what Tsunade does best, her absolutely insane physical power. We're talking about a woman who can punch the ground and split it wide open, creating massive craters with her bare hands. She literally shattered Madara's ribcage Susanoo, something very few ninja could ever do. That kind of power comes from her ability to store chakra in specific points of her body and release it all at once on impact, turning her punches into chakra explosions. When Tsunade hits you, it's basically a bomb going off in your face. But what really makes Tsunade terrifying is her ability to survive, thanks to her forbidden medical techniques, creation rebirth, and the strength of 100 seal. These jutsu let her instantly heal from any injury, no matter how bad it is. We've seen her get stabbed straight through the body, cut in half, and still keep fighting like it was nothing. Tsunade's role as a support-type fighter in large-scale battles is completely irreplaceable. She can summon Katsuyu, a giant slug that can split into thousands of smaller clones and attach to every ninja on the battlefield. Through these clones, Tsunade can heal thousands of people at once, keeping the entire army alive and fighting even after heavy damage. That's why, in times of war, Tsunade's value skyrockets. She's the backbone that keeps the whole army standing. However, when we put Tsunade in a direct one-on-one fight against the other Hokage, her limits start to show. Her fighting style is pretty straightforward and predictable. She runs in, she punches, and she punches hard. That's her main strategy. Compared to someone like Kakashi, who's got 1,000 jutsu and endless creativity, Tsunade doesn't have that same level of versatility. If her opponent is fast enough to dodge her hits or can attack from long range, Tsunade's going to have a hard time landing any serious damage. When you compare her to Kakashi, who's ranked just below her, Tsunade clearly wins in raw power and survivability. If those two fought, Kakashi could dodge her punches for a while, sure, but his chakra would run out long before Tsunade's stamina did. Thanks to her Senju bloodline, she's got massive chakra reserves, and with Creation Rebirth active, she can tank almost anything Kakashi throws at her. But when we look higher up the list, it gets tough for her. Now, let's move to Hiruzen. At number 5, we've got Hiruzen Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage. Hiruzen was called the Professor, praised as the strongest Hokage in the early days of the series. But when we lay out all the actual evidence, this 5th place spot fits what he truly brings to the table. The biggest problem with judging Hiruzen is that we almost never see him in his prime. Every major fight he's in happens when he's already old and way past his physical peak. But even as an old man, what he showed was seriously impressive. During his battle against Orochimaru, he didn't just fight one of the legendary sannin, he also had to face both Hashirama and Tobirama, who were revived through Edo Tensei. Sure, those two were only around 20% of their real strength, but still, an elderly Hiruzen going up against 3 top-tier opponents at once is just incredible. In the end, he managed to seal away both Hashirama and Tobirama, and even took away Orochimaru's arms using the Reaper Death Seal, sacrificing his own life in the process. What really earned Hiruzen his title as the Professor was his unmatched knowledge of jutsu. He mastered all 5 nature transformations, plus yin and yang release, something only a handful of shinobi in history have done. In theory, he knew every jutsu that existed in the Hidden Leaf at the time. That's why he was called the Professor. He literally had the widest jutsu knowledge in the village. On top of that, he could summon Enma, the Monkey King, a powerful summon that could fight on its own and sync perfectly with Hiruzen. However, when you compare Hiruzen to the other Hokage, one big weakness becomes clear. Tobirama created the Flying Thunder God, Edo Tensei, and the Shadow Clone, literally 3 of the most overpowered techniques in the whole series, plus a ton of other game-changing jutsu. Minato mastered the Flying Thunder God to perfection and invented the Rasengan. But Hiruzen, even though he knew every jutsu in the village, he didn't invent anything new. He didn't leave behind a special legacy or technique that defined him. He was more like a scholar than a true innovator. When it comes to chakra reserves, Prime Hiruzen definitely had a huge amount, enough to use tons of complex jutsu nonstop. But as he got older, that energy dropped hard, and we clearly see that in his fight against Orochimaru, he got tired fast. Putting Hiruzen at 5th place is honestly fair when you look at the full picture. He's stronger than Tsunade in terms of versatility and battle knowledge, and his massive jutsu library made him adaptable to any situation. I mean, he was her teacher. But he just doesn't have those explosive, groundbreaking abilities that the Hokage above him had. The strongest Hokage title might have been a bit overhyped because we never saw him in his prime, but there's no denying it, Hiruzen absolutely deserves his place as one of the greatest Hokage the Leaf ever had. Minato. At number 4, we've got Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage, and this is where things get serious. Minato is one of the most hyped-up ninja in the entire series, and unlike Hiruzen, all that hype is backed by real, undeniable feats. Let's start with the one that made him a living legend. During the Third Great Ninja War, Minato single-handedly wiped out 1,000 Stone Village ninja. Not scared them off, wiped them out. That one battle completely flipped the war. Konoha went from losing ground to straight-up dominating. After that, every other village told their troops, "If you see the yellow flash, run. Don't even try." That's the level of fear and respect Minato earned. When your enemies would rather retreat than fight you, you've officially reached God-tier status. And keep in mind, this man was only a jonin back then. Minato's real power comes from the Flying Thunder God, the space-time jutsu originally created by Tobirama. But Minato didn't just use it, he perfected it. While Tobirama was efficient, Minato turned it into an art form. He could tag multiple kunai and teleport between them faster than anyone could even see. He could even tag an opponent directly and teleport to them, turning every touch into a death sentence. And the craziest part, in his fight against Obito, a guy with Kamui, literally an intangibility hacks, Minato figured out how it worked after seeing it once and broke through it on the spot. That's insane battle IQ, analyzing, adapting, and countering in seconds. Minato was also the creator of the Rasengan, one of the most iconic jutsu in all of Naruto. It's a spinning ball of chakra with insane destructive power, no hand signs needed. When Minato combined the Rasengan with the Flying Thunder God, it became a straight-up death combo. Teleport right next to the enemy and slam the Rasengan into them before they even realize what happened. He was also a perfect sage, capable of using sage mode, though he rarely even needed it. His raw speed and teleportation were already enough to handle most opponents with ease. When Minato was brought back with Edo Tensei during the Fourth Great Ninja War, we finally saw how terrifying his full potential really was. He could use Kurama's chakra, Sage Mode, Rasengan, and Flying Thunder God all at once. Honestly, if Minato hadn't died young and had time to keep evolving, the series might have been called Minato. But this brings up one of the biggest debates in the Naruto fandom. Is Minato actually stronger than Tobirama, or should Tobirama still rank higher? It's a tough call. In terms of raw speed and direct combat, Minato clearly has the edge. Even Tobirama himself admitted Minato was better at using the technique. But Tobirama invented some of the most game-changing jutsu in history, like Edo Tensei and the Shadow Clone technique and Flying Thunder God itself. Minato, on the other hand, was a genius in application, taking existing ideas and pushing them to their absolute limit. So the real question is, who do you value more? The man who invented the weapon, or the man who used it better than anyone else? Tobirama. Now we're entering the top 3, starting with Tobirama Senju, the second Hokage. We're talking about a guy whose name echoes through generations. Tobirama is the genius who built the foundation for almost everything we see in Naruto. Let's talk about what he actually created, and the list is insane. The Flying Thunder God, the same teleportation jutsu Minato made famous, was Tobirama's idea. The Shadow Clone Jutsu, Naruto's trademark move, also Tobirama. The Edo Tensei, the Forbidden Resurrection Jutsu that flipped the entire Fourth Great Ninja War on its head, again, Tobirama. Even the mutually multiplying explosive tags, one of the deadliest traps in the series, all him. When you really look at it, Tobirama wasn't just a strong ninja. He was a scientist genius who unlocked new possibilities for the entire ninja world. What makes Tobirama even more dangerous than Minato, even though Minato used the Flying Thunder God better, is his Senju bloodline. Tobirama was born with massive natural chakra reserves. That's just how the Senju are built. He could fight for long stretches. And when you mix that raw chakra power with his top-tier battle IQ, and all the jutsu he personally invented, you're looking at a fighter with basically no clear weaknesses. His water style alone proves how broken he was. Tobirama could summon techniques like Water Dragon and Water Severing Wave on a massive scale, without needing any nearby water source. Tobirama's battle feats also prove just how high his level really was. He straight up defeated Izuna Uchiha, one of the strongest Uchiha of his time, and Madara's own brother. But his most legendary moment came at the end of his life. Tobirama faced the Kinkaku Force, a squad that included the infamous Gold and Silver Brothers, guys with 9 tails chakra, who could transform into version 2 forms with 4 tails, plus 20s, rank ninja on top of that. Just to give you an idea, that's basically like fighting 2 Akatsuki teams at once. Tobirama fought them head-on to buy time for his team to escape, taking down a bunch of them before finally dying from exhaustion. That was one of the most heroic last stands in all of Naruto history. When comparing Tobirama and Minato, Tobirama had the edge in chakra reserves, and that's saying a lot, because Minato already had massive chakra. Tobirama also had a much wider range of jutsu, including all those forbidden techniques he personally created. Plus, he had real battlefield experience from the Warring States era, a time when ninja were fighting non-stop since childhood. Minato was an incredible warrior, no doubt, but Tobirama was a warrior, a scientist, and a national-level strategist all rolled into one. Hashirama. Now we're at number 2, and it's none other than Hashirama Senju, the first Hokage, the god of shinobi himself. This man's name became the literal standard of power for generations. Hashirama's biggest feat ever was defeating Madara at the Valley of the End, and this was Eternal Manjikyu Sharingan plus Kurama Madara. Yeah, Madara had full control over the 9 tails and even wrapped it in a complete Susanoo armor, creating a monster that could slice mountains in half, and Hashirama beat both of them at the same time. His wood style was about controlling the entire battlefield. His deep forest emergence could turn empty land into a massive jungle in seconds, with trees so huge they could crush anything in their way. His wood dragon could restrain tailed beasts and drain their chakra like it's nothing. The fact that Hashirama could capture multiple tailed beasts, creatures entire nations feared, shows just how insanely above everyone else he was back then. His Gate of the Great God could even restrain the 10 tails, which is basically god-level territory. And when things got serious, he'd summon his ultimate, Shinsu Senju, the 1,000-armed Buddha, a massive divine statue that could flatten battlefields. But what truly set Hashirama apart from everyone else was his natural healing ability. He could recover from any wound instantly, without hand signs, without activating a jutsu. It just happened automatically. His body constantly healed itself like a passive skill, a natural version of Tsunade's Byakugu, except way better. To kill Hashirama, you had to completely destroy him or take his head off, because anything less, he'd just heal right back. Hashirama's chakra was on a whole different level. It was more than half of the 9 tails chakra, plus an Uzumaki had combined. Hashirama also mastered Sage Mode, had A-rank Genjutsu, and his taijutsu could go toe-to-toe with even the best Uchiha fighters. Coming from the Senju clan, known for having 1,000 different jutsu, Hashirama was a complete monster. No weaknesses, no blind spots. And the title God of Shinobi became a legend that lived on for generations. So why is Hashirama only number 2? Because there's one man, and only one, who managed to surpass everything Hashirama stood for. Naruto. Let's start with his battle feats, the kind that no other Hokage can even dream of. Naruto defeated Kaguya, a godlike being who could create and destroy entire dimensions. Then, in the final valley, he went head-to-head with Sasuke at his absolute prime, complete with the Rinnegan and Tomoe. These were battles against beings who had gone way beyond human limits. Well, to be fair, both Naruto and Sasuke had 6 Paths powers at that point. With 6 Paths Sage Mode combined with Kurama Mode, Naruto could fly, sense everything around him across a massive area, and use truth-seeking orbs that could erase almost anything on a molecular level. His chakra wasn't just huge, it was basically limitless. Remember, he's an Uzumaki, a clan famous for ridiculous chakra reserves. Add Kurama's chakra, the strongest tailed beast, and the power of the Sage of 6 Paths, and you get a monster. Then you've got his Rasengan and all its crazy variations. The Rasenshuriken can literally tear apart chakra connections at a cellular level. The tailed beast, Rasenshuriken, combines multiple tailed beast powers into massive strikes. Naruto can also make thousands of shadow clones, and each one can fight independently and use high-level jutsu. But maybe his most insane feat is Baryon Mode. Even Kurama hesitated to use it because it burns away life itself. In this form, Naruto absolutely destroyed Ishiki Otsutsuki, one of the strongest Otsutsuki ever. To put that in perspective, Ishiki was someone that both Sasuke, with full Rinnegan, and Naruto, in regular Six Paths mode, struggled against. But Baryon Mode Naruto beat him to death. Hashirama ruled his era and stayed the symbol of raw power for generations until Naruto. He fought literal gods who could wipe out worlds, and Hashirama had the aura of a god. Naruto has the aura of the main character, the chosen one. That's the point. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.